All right, welcome. Welcome everybody. Sunday night. We're a little early tonight, 7 p.m. That's okay. Hopefully we got the word out. Put this link up. Boom. Let's get it ready to do it again. Paste. Okay, special night. So tonight, as requested by a lot of people the last few weeks, to do an episode on Rieki healing. And what is it? What's all involved with it? So here it is. So we had this scheduled later on in the year, and we felt like we needed to push this up. So here we are tonight, and we have lined up, I hope I don't butcher her name, Leanne Wolfe-Agostini. She is a Rieki master, Rieki instructor. She is the one that taught our Michelle that is in the group. She's the one on the podcast every day. Get back to that. So, hey Liz, hey Angie. I thought you were driving. Hey Mom, what's up, Sean? Yeah, my beard's gone. I told you it'd be gone. Absolutely had fun this weekend. So, yes, so we're going to wait for them. I got the links up. I'm going to keep posting the link. Michelle will be up here soon. Leanne will be joining us here soon. Somebody grab on Facebook. Somebody just asked to join the group page. Liz, if you can get on there and accept her for us. What's up, Tracy? What's up, Molly? Melinda. Hi, Megan. So yeah, so we're waiting on them to hop on here. Let me put the link up one more time. It's going to be an exciting show tonight. I'm going to learn a lot. We've been talking about this Rieki the last couple of weeks. I'm going to see a lady named Sabrina that owns a shop in Austin called Holistically You here in a couple of weeks. I want to check it out. So that's what's on tap for tonight. Like I said, we're just waiting. So while we're waiting, I want to talk about next week's episode, which is going to, for me, is something I've been anticipating. And I got confirmation tonight from Jeremy. Next week, hold on, here's Michelle.
Go ahead. Yep.
All right, so I got Michelle on here. Hold on here a second.
Okay.
All right, so they're working on there, and let me talk about next week here. Hey, I think I got her. Let's add her to the stream. Let's do this a different way.
All right, Leanne, I'm gonna let you go. Okay. All right.
There we go. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Give me 2 seconds, ladies. Let me finish up what I was talking about, and we'll dive right into it. Next week's show, I've been talking about this for a couple weeks. This gentleman here, his name is Jeremy Todd. This has absolutely nothing to do with paranormal, but it has everything to do with positivity. And we've been pushing a lot of positivity lately on the group page, people's individual pages. Got confirmation tonight. Jeremy will be on the show next week. We'll be talking about his podcast, his book, his life journey, everything. I'm uber excited about it. I read the book. It hit a lot of heartstrings for me because a lot of things he went through in his life, I went through. So I'm looking forward to that. So that is next week, everybody, 8 p.m., regular show time. Stay tuned for that. All right, done with that. Welcome, Leanne.
Thank you for having me. I'm a little nervous. I think Michelle warned you that I would be.
Don't be nervous.
I'll get into my flow and I'll be fine, but it's just when
just
I first
picture it
start
like it's a conversation between us three.
Well, I teach virtually and in person, so I shouldn't be nervous, but it's just who I am. So
okay, one thing, Leanne, to your right, you'll see a box and it says private chat or comments.
Yeah.
Click on where it says comments and then you can see what everybody says.
Okay. Oh, I see my friend Megan. Thank you, Megan.
So, ladies, I did dive into a little bit of this Reiki stuff before you guys hopped on here, and I was explaining that we had this kind of scheduled for later on in the year, but everybody keeps talking about it. So, thankfully, you were able to put us in your schedule to come on here. We talk about it all the time, the Reiki, and how Michelle incorporates that in our clearings and blessings and stuff that we do for our clients. She's done a lot of Reiki for a lot of our clients and people that watch the show, which is amazing. We also talked about how when Michelle did a session on me, it didn't really like affect me the way I thought it should. It could have been a couple of things, A, she's my sister, and B, she was new at it. So I am going to go visit a lady named Sabrina. She owns a place in Austin. I don't know if you know who she is. She owns Holistically You. So I'm going there in, I think, 2 weeks to get a Reiki session done through her. And I'm going to tell everybody about it when I'm done with it. So I'm kind of excited about it. I know a couple people that went to her. They had awesome experiences, so I look forward to it. After this, you know what, ladies? I'm just going to sit here and look pretty, and you ladies just have at it. Because I don't know anything about Reiki healing, so.
Yes.
He does.
The stage is yours, so.
Okay. Michelle, is there any certain way you want me to start with it, or?
Do your thing, baby girl. Do
Okay.
your thing.
All right. Okay. So ever the teacher, I have notes to keep me organized. So first of all, I'm Leanne Agostini. Thank you so much for having me, even though I'm super nervous. I super appreciate you having faith in me coming on here and talking to y'all. So my background real quick is I have actually been practicing Reiki for over 20 years. No.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Sorry. Over 15 years.
15. Still a long time.
My background is actually in massage therapy. So I'm a certified massage therapist.
Okay.
We're actually going to be licensed this July. They're finally switching it over. In massage school, we started to learn about energy practices, energy work, the basics of energy principles. And I had a teacher who taught the class that I now teach over at the local school, who went on a weekend class and did Reiki. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're talking about, but I want to take the class. So I called and said, are you having any other classes? And she said, yeah. And I showed up and learned all about Reiki. That was my first level Reiki. So that was, quite a while ago. So at the same time, I was actually also through school learning healing touch, which if anybody's familiar with that, that's kind of the more well-known energy practice. It's in a lot of hospitals. It's in a lot of nursing homes. It was founded and developed by a nurse. So it's kind of what I like to consider the PC version of energy healing. Like they really went in and did all the legwork and the red tape to get energy principles in hospitals and nursing homes and care facilities. So I was being trained at the same time in both ways. So we talked about this on Friday night, Michelle, when we had our meeting, our group meeting. But I said with healing touch, you bring earth energy up through your body, and with Reiki we channel universal energy down. So and then there's some other energy practices that I do, and I said I feel like I've got energy coming all different ways depending on the modality.
That when doing are they two different ways that you do that? I mean, because obviously I don't know the other way. I've sat through one Reiki session, so is it kind of the same way you do it?
It's very similar. All energy practices, in my opinion, are all really based, like probably if we did the digging, they would all be based on the same thing. It's just Where was this type of practice developed, who put their name on it, who coined it, who put specific techniques in. So there's many different types of healing energy. I am certified in Reiki, healing touch, IET, which is integrated energy therapy. So there's quantum healing. There's a bunch of different types of energy type healing. And when you study them, they all have a lot of the same basic principles and concepts, just maybe different hand positions. Or with IET, we work with healing angels. With Reiki, it's more using your guides or your own intuition. Medical intuition is similar too. I'm certified in that too. Didn't Michelle warn you about my certification collection?
I think she's mentioned it, but I think Michelle's a little jealous of all the. But
I would never
she'll eventually get
jealous.
there.
No,
I'm not jealous.
No, I would never consider her jealous. No,
I'm
I
just
love
playing.
learning, and I love how every modality I learn just makes all the other ones I know make even more sense, and they work so well together. It's basically vibrational layering. So you're just layering all the different vibrations to get the highest vibration. So I do tend to, I self-proclaim certification junkie. If there's a class in it, I want to take it, even if there's not a certificate at the end. I'm taking it. I want to learn about it. Like, I will forever be a student of the universe. So having that kind of like teacher moniker makes me really uncomfortable, because I always feel like the student. Like, I always learn from all my clients, all my students. So yeah.
Am I wrong? Are you both taking the shaman class?
Yeah.
I have taken Randall's shamanism classes.
I don't know which one she's taking. Is that right, Michelle? Or?
He's talking to Leanne about the classes we're taking on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I do have training, not, I have Randall's classes under my belt. I don't claim to be a shamanic practitioner. I just, I did take all of his classes, and I actually took them multiple times just because I love taking them. I would take the same ones over. And
he's definitely an interesting person to listen to. We've had him on the show.
And I just think every time I took it, I got something else out of it too. So, and there were some things I wasn't comfortable with. And I thought, okay, now I'm ready to open up and learn that. So yeah. And then yes, Michelle and I are taking a apprenticeship online together. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I tend to try to learn something new every day. I mean, even if it's something minute, So yeah, you always want to learn something. So why not?
Yeah.
And if you get a certification for it, that's just like the cherry on top.
Yeah. So I do have certifications in aromatherapy, access bars, crystal healing. I'm a certified crystal healer. What else? Sound healing with Tibetan singing bowls. And then I'm working on about 5 other ones this year. So, but they
are you certified in shiatsu?
I had that in massage school. So.
Okay, so you were trained in it. So okay,
I was trained. Yeah.
And what is shiatsu?
Shiatsu is a type of massage that is based in acupressure. So acupuncture is with the needles, acupressure is just with finger pressure, and it's a really actually nice flowing type of slow massage. It's done with with clothes on. But yeah, I had training in that back when I graduated.
Nicole Garcia says Leanne is a living angel.
Nikki, thank you.
If anybody on here watching, if you have any questions on any healing practices that she uses or teaches,
I can delve into those later. But
Rieki, feel free to put it in the comments, and if it's something important, you might have to do it twice, because these comments do go fast.
Okay.
I might miss it. So ask away, anybody that's on here, and we'll try to get your question answered.
Yeah. So I know most of you are here, at least what is Reiki, right? So it took me a long time to feel really comfortable coming up with like a definition or explaining it to people. I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but I think that's kind of the hardest thing. Like you go to class, you learn it, like in your body what it is and what it does. But then when somebody asks you about it, you're like, well, like, how do I explain something that's so hard to explain, like a phenomenon that's hard to explain? So this is what I've come up with over, a combination of reading different books and kind of rewording it to be my own. So Reiki is a Japanese-based energy healing technique for stress reduction and relaxation that promotes full body holistic healing. And so holistic, we're talking about physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Balance and a sense of well-being. It helps to bring our body to a more harmonious state. Okay. All right. So Rei, actually, if we break down the word, Rei, R-E-I, means natural spirit, holy gift, or spiritual wisdom. And Ki means the vital energy that flows through and surrounds all things. Ki is also, so Ki, the K-I, but you can also see it spelled Q-I, C-H-I is Chi, Prana, it's known in India, or Mana. So those are all words for like the vital energy that flows through us. And last night, I was downloaded with a really great example of how to explain this. So imagine your body as a machine, right? And our vital life force, that life force that flows through us, is basically like the electricity or the battery charge that makes the machine work. Okay, it's just flowing through us all the time. So much like if there is a disturbance in the electricity, if there's a short in the electricity or there's a short in the battery connection, then the machine isn't working at full power, right?
Makes sense.
So So when our body becomes out of tune or out of balance, or we hold on to negative thoughts, negative emotions, feelings, or negative energy, we just encounter negative energy, blockages can appear in our body, in our energy body. And that's when the flow is blocked or disturbed, or there's a lot of blockages, that's when we have illness, or dis-ease is how my Reiki master always put it. She never liked to say disease. It was always dis-ease. So shout out to Sharon Martin, my Reiki master. I try to always teach like my teachers taught me. So
I'm writing down everybody's questions as they come up.
Stop me and just tell me to shut up, because I go into teacher lecture mode. So you just have to tell me.
It's all good.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. All right. So basically, when we put the two words together, the Rei and the Ki together, it usually translates to the universal life force. And a lot of people question, like, where does that come from? So Reiki, even though it does have an origin in Japan, there is no religious connection with Reiki, just like with yoga. A lot of people think of yoga as like a religious practice, and it's not. It's a practice. It's a spiritual practice because you make it your own, but there's no religious context to it. The energy is, I always refer to it as universal energy, but it's whatever your source is. So a lot of people just say source energy or universal energy. For some it's God, for some it's goddess, great spirit. Like, it's what your or your client's energy source is. That's where it's coming from. And it's available to all of us all the time.
Gotcha.
Do you need me to answer some questions?
We'll do one right now because this is Reiki related. How often he said, how often do Reiki sessions have to be repeated? Like, so if somebody was to get in contact with you or Michelle or another Reiki master to do Reiki sessions, is this something that you would just go one time, or would you go once a month, like twice a year?
It really just depends on what you need as the client, what you're looking for, what you're doing and how you're feeling. Because of my massage background, I always recommend that you get body work and energy work done. Like, if you're keeping up with it, monthly is ideal, but that's not always possible for everybody, or schedules, or but you go and get it when you need it.
I
And
think
again, if
I think
you're
a
working,
person would kind of know. I mean, if you're feeling kind of a funk or something's hitting you kind of hard and you can't figure it out, maybe one of your your chakras need in tune. Am I on the right path here?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So we do Reiki isn't just working on the chakras, it's working on
Okay.
the energetic body as a whole. So the energy field, human energy field, or the electromagnetic field, it's all the same thing. But the great thing about Reiki is it goes where it's needed. So even though we as a practitioner have hand placements and we have intention, like if you came in and said like, man, my knee's really hurting, our intention would be to obviously have the Reiki flow there for your, hopefully pain relief.
Yeah.
But the Reiki will go to where it needs to go and it does its own thing. That's another misconception. So I'm skipping ahead in my notes, but
All right.
that's what I do. That's how it works. No, but
We fly by the seat of our pants
I
on this
know
show,
I
so
have to
be
get you. I
prepared.
do the same thing when I'm in front of students, but I just like I have to come prepared so I feel good about myself.
All right.
um, so as practitioners, we are not in charge of Reiki. We are not giving any of our own energy away. It is not us in charge of healing. Okay. We are simply channeling down universal energy from source. We are I think Randall's mentioned it on your show before, where in shamanism is called the hollow bone. We're the conduit. We're just the facilitator of the energy. So we're channeling it down through our body, out our hands into the client with intention, right? And permission. That's a big one too. But with permission and intention. Reiki is going to do what it needs to do and go where it needs to go and give you the healing, the highest healing that's meant for you according to source. So as practitioners, we're not in charge of it. We don't know what it's going to do. It's always a surprise. We set the intentions for the highest and greatest good. But part of the ethics of Reiki, at least in my opinion, are that we can't make promises. We don't know we're not in charge. That's where ego comes in, and that's not what we're doing. We're just simply there facilitating and bringing the energy to you for the highest good and highest healing.
So if somebody has like osteoporosis or fibromyalgia, would something like a Reiki healing like once a month or something, would that help alleviate some of the pain for them, do you think? Or
so ethics wise for Reiki, and I teach my students this, like we're not in charge of the healing. We don't know, what's going to happen, but, and we can only claim that Reiki can provide relaxation, stress reduction, and whole body, holistic well-being. However, we can't claim to cure. We can't diagnose. We can't contradict a diagnosis. So those are, some of my big things when I'm teaching is like, these are the things we don't do. And that's also from my massage background too, because we can't do that in massage either. But things that people have experienced that they've reported back are pain relief. A lot of people find pain relief, and less anxiety, sleeping better. When I would go to my Reiki master every month when I was pregnant with both my kids, and I basically threw up the whole first 6 months with both the kids. So terrible heartburn, nausea all day long. It wasn't morning sickness. It was all day 6-month sickness. So I would go and get Reiki treatments every month from her, for me and the baby. And for that hour, that was the only hour that I didn't experience heartburn and nausea and indigestion.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Even going and doing acupuncture, which I am a proponent of acupuncture, but they even said walking in, like, it's a 50-50 chance with acupuncture whether or not your morning sickness will go away or not. And mine didn't. But for that hour, I had that pain relief.
Can you I know this might sound weird. Somebody asked this. Can you like overdo Reiki healing? Can you get too much of it?
Um, I don't, in my intuition says no. I think what happens in that like too much, because it's again, it's not us. It's,
Right.
just
You're
us
just
facilitating.
channeling it.
We're just facilitating the energy to you and it's giving you what you need. I think what happens sometimes, and this has been in my own personal experience too with clients, is that they become reliant on you. They feel really good when they're with you, and you may even say like, maybe a spirit guide came in and gave them, something to try, or they know they need to do certain work outside of your room at home to keep feeling the way they're feeling. Maybe it's journaling, or maybe it's yoga, or maybe it's eating better. Usually what happens is they don't want to do the work outside of a session. So they just keep
Yeah.
coming back to you for those quick fix and those. It's like putting a bandage on a bullet wound.
I guess
Like at some point.
I guess in a way it'd be like if you were going to a surgeon to have a surgery on something and the surgeon says, I need you to do physical therapy before the surgery and I need you to do physical therapy afterwards. But they don't do the physical therapy and they keep going back to the surgeon like, I'm still in pain, I'm still this, I'm still that.
Right.
Kind of the same thing, right?
Right. And I think
Okay.
with any healing modality, or complementary alternative therapy, there's always other work to be done within yourself. When
Right.
and with our clients, and students too, our clients need to be active participants in their healing. We do not ever give Reiki to people who do not want it. That's kind of an ethical boundary that I don't cross and don't teach. So it's always best to encourage your clients to be an active participant. So that means you can still be skeptical. I actually like getting the skeptics on my table, because it's like I want to see what
Right.
you feel. So it's okay to be skeptical. And I feel like I've gotten the, just from what Michelle's told me, like you may be skeptical of it, but you're still open-minded to the experience.
Yes.
So,
I won't deny that.
right. But it's, but someone who came on the table who had no belief in it, who maybe begrudgingly did it because you're a relative or they were dared to do it or somebody bought them a gift certificate or something and had no belief in it and had
Right.
no care in the world, then of course they're not going to feel anything or have an experience. They're cut off from it. They're essentially blocking it. But yeah, as far as too much, I would say no, not too much, but like in all healing, and when you get to that point where like your stuff goes a little deeper than surface, you have to put in the work at home. And I think that's where maybe it's just people coming, like I said, to kind of put that bullet on or bandage on a bullet wound. Like it'll help, but ultimately you're still needing to be more active in your healing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Liz asked, "What's quantum healing?" Real quick.
I have that written
I'm
down.
not trained in quantum healing, so I can't speak on that.
You've never done it. You don't know
No.
what it is. Okay.
It's another energy healing, just like healing touch, but I'm not trained in it. I've never taken a class on it. I can't speak on that. Sorry.
What?
But similar to all this. I know, right?
So, Angie says, do you guys get burned out or get maxed out or drained if you do too many sessions, or is that a thing?
Well, with massage, that can happen too. With energy work, you are not supposed to get drained. If you're getting too drained or too burned out, you're not. I always tell my students, and we have to fill our cup full to overflowing before we go in and work on a client.
Yep.
Because we don't ever want to give away our own personal energy store. So usually if you're feeling that like too burnout, it's usually you're not filling your cup up, or maybe you don't have your shields up, or maybe you've got other stuff going on that day that you overscheduled yourself and didn't have time for it, or that kind of thing.
Right.
But you should not feel that way. You should not feel drained, because if you're just channeling the energy, you're not giving any of your stuff away.
Okay.
Girl, I don't know about you, but after a session, a good session, I get hungry. I'm like, give
Well,
me
yeah.
carbs.
Yeah, because there's energy moving through.
Oh
There's
yeah,
a lot of like stomach growling that happens. People are
Mm-hmm.
really hungry afterwards. Yeah, but to me, I don't consider that like being so like maxed out to where I have to go lay down. Now, after teaching a class and doing a lot of attunements, yeah, I have to go lay down. But that's a different thing where I am kind of giving a little bit of myself in that.
So
Um,
how
go ahead, Nick.
come some people have past loved ones enter during
Mhm,
Reiki sessions or their spirit guides and this or that?
mhm.
Some do not. Why is that? Can you dive into that a little bit?
It's based on each individual and who wants to come in, when and where. And again, as you know, just the facilitator, I don't know the why behind that. It also could be like practitioner wise, is that one of their specialties? Is that one of their gifts? I don't
Okay.
like see spirits this way. I see them here, and I hear messages here, not here, if that makes sense.
No, it makes
Um,
sense. Michelle's kind of the same way, correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I never know, even some of my clients that I've seen over and over, one day their spirit guides will come in, the next day it's angels that want to work with them. 2 weeks later, maybe it's, I got a room full of animals, like spirit animals running around. And I'm like, okay. Or sometimes it's just very quiet and maybe I'm
Mhm.
only seeing the colors of the chakras that need work. Like, no I've never had an energy, a session be the same ever.
Right.
How often
Um,
you get taken back by that when something walks in and you're not expecting it?
at first, all the time.
Yeah.
Then I took Randall's classes and I realized I wasn't crazy and that I couldn't make it up. And I feel a little better about it. But I do, once in a blue moon, something will surprise me. Probably the last time it's been a couple years, but the last one that really got me was when Saint Germain was hanging out in this corner here. Like all of a sudden I was like, excuse me, what are you doing here? And who are you? And yeah,
Right,
so
right.
um and then and probably the other one was attachments. It's not I have had training in what to do with them. It's not my most favorite. It's not my favorite skill to do. So I like to send people. I like to refer out for that. But I've also been like, this has to happen right now.
Right.
You're gonna do it, and I've had to do it.
So you've had to release attachments off people before.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not my favorite. I prefer to send out for that.
Right.
I was gonna
That's
say
understandable.
she's really good at sending him to the person that they need to go to too.
Mhm.
She
Yeah.
she doesn't just use one person. She has several people in
Right.
her mojo
Yeah, I
bag
think
there.
that's another misconception is oh, I have to stay, I have to only go to this Reiki practitioner. And I teach my students this. I'm like,
Mhm.
there is no competition. There are
Yeah.
enough people to go around. And in our community, I'm trying to build, a community where we can send, feel confident sending clients to other people. Maybe right now I'm not seeing people in person. I'm only doing long distance. If somebody calls me and wants an in-person one, I have, 3, 4, 5 different people I can refer them to. Or if somebody
Right.
really, is having issues with attachments, I know those 2, 3 people I'm going to send them to. Or maybe I'm just, I'm not in a place where I can do energy work right now. That happened about 9 months ago. I was like, I'm drained from life, living in a pandemic and being a stay-at-home mom and schooling, and I do not have I need to
Right.
work on myself. So I can't do any, sessions this month,
I mean, absolutely. I mean, in the line of work that you ladies are in, if you're not 100% like mentally or physically healthy, whatever, on board, I mean, I don't see how you could possibly do what you do. So yeah,
Right.
I would definitely see you would have to take time for yourself.
Yeah, and I think over time you build those boundaries. It takes a while, and I didn't always
Mhm.
used to do it. And that's probably when I would be, I guess, kind of burned out. I put too many things on my plate and saw too many people, or really shouldn't have fit it in my schedule, but I squeezed it in. And then I had kind of that burnout feeling, as far as just like my own personal, I should not have done this, with what I have going on in life. Like, I'm still human and I still have all those things going on. And yeah. So.
I've had that conversation with Michelle regarding Randall. I was like, he's just a man. He's just a regular person.
Yeah.
So Megan says, how can you expect to feel after a session?
Oh, good question, Megan. Thank you. That's my friend. She'll appreciate the shout out. So again, it's different for every person. And since I know you are having a session coming up, I also don't want to like give you any I think going in with no expectations is the best way to be. So it can be a really authentic experience. But most people feel, it's reported back that most people feel like a Reiki session is very similar to the effects they feel of a massage, a full body massage. Great thing about Reiki, I didn't mention this, but it is done with clothing on.
Yeah.
And depending on your certification, so technically Reiki is hands off the body.
Right.
It's in the aura field. Because of my massage certification, I am allowed to touch. So, and then as far as other Reiki practitioners, we know that touch is really important. We failure to thrive and all of that type of stuff. So, as long as you ask permission to touch your client and provide them with that comfort with those hand placements, then some people prefer to have the hands on. But technically, Reiki does not have to be hands on, and it can be done long distance.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I don't know. Yes, I believe in it. Yes, I'm a little bit of a skeptic, but I think I'm even more of a skeptic of this over Zoom or over the phone healing stuff.
Okay.
Brother, let me tell you what, I was too until I did my master's course, and she did our attunements, and I literally felt it. I knew it was her. Because I know how she feels when she does attunements too, but I was just sitting there waiting I was expecting to feel her, and I was there. I don't know. I think he did me third. I don't know. I don't remember now.
Yeah,
but I sat there for a while, and I was like, just, I was meditating and just waiting. And then all of a sudden it just came over like a warmth. And I was like, oh, I never expected to be able to have that. And I remember when I was really sick that time, Nick, for that week, and I ended up going to the hospital, I had potassium infusion. Well, she seen my post and she sent me healing. And I got up and was able to do stuff for a little bit.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me when. I told her she didn't have to tell me when or anything like that, just whenever she had time. And I literally was like, wow. I called her. I'm like, I don't know if that was you, but that was great. Thanks. So it's just until you go through it, you really don't. I guess if you're skeptical until you go through it, you don't,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
I appreciate honesty. I'm a Sagittarius. We only are honest. Like, that's the only level we operate on is honest. So
I know somebody else is like that.
It's it is hard to wrap your head around. And in level 2, that's what we teach, like the concepts of time is an illusion, and that kind of thing. I think the best way to equate it is that when maybe somebody asks for like prayers, like, oh, I'm having a really hard time, can somebody send me prayers, can somebody send me good vibes, that a lot of times you can feel that, right? That like your grandma's praying for you, or that that your friend was sending you, like I felt today, my friend, I said, I'm so nervous, please send me good, good vibes to calm me down. I could feel that my friends were sending that to me, so it's along those lines, a little more complex, but along those lines of the intention is there and the energy is sent out, and you can feel it. When I do long distance, I set it up just like a normal session. I'm in here, I'm in my healing room. We set a time, unless I'm doing what I consider first aid, which is what I did on Michelle. But if I'm doing a regular, we set a time. I want you calm and comfortable, and I want you to rest, and I want you to be aware of your body, so that you can really tell it's me doing something. I have your permission. I'm either like, you're in my head, or I have a picture, or I have a proxy doll that I use too.
Okay.
And I set it up, and if I need to use crystals, then I put the crystals on. I use the massage table, and it's just like you're here.
Okay.
And I do the full session, and then I report back with everything I have. First aid wise, that's more like, hey, I'm sick. Can you send me some Reiki real quick? Or, I'm having a hard day, or I have this big job interview. And then that's where it's more like, I'll just send it to you when I can get to it throughout the day, kind of thing. So
I think somebody's ears were burning.
Randall.
Somebody
That's
says
right.
somebody says proxy doll question marks.
Okay, so do you want me to show you my proxy doll? I can
Is
grab
it like an Annie doll, like CPR doll?
Ew, no, those are
PG.
creepy. No, hang on. So most of the time with Reiki, like they say, for long distance, a lot of people just get like a teddy bear, right? Teddy bears, we think of like being comfortable and like using it. So when I went to find my specific proxy, and it's only used for Reiki, and I don't use it for every single person, but sometimes I do. So this is who I found. So
I
this
thought
is
for
my
sure you were gonna pull out like a Chucky doll or something.
Oh, no. I think I do know somebody who uses like a ventriloquist doll, but that's not me. I can't.
That's
No.
a little creepy.
I watched too many horror movies growing up, but so yeah, it doesn't have. Again, you can do it with a picture. You can just do it with the person in your mind's eye. I can pretend you're laying on my table, because I am connecting with you. Like Randall said, there's no separation of space and time. It's all instantaneous across the globe. So that's his advanced explanation. Thank you, Randall.
So pretty much what you're doing is, if you're doing an over the phone or Zoom session or whatever it is, you're using that proxy doll as representation of the person you're doing the healing on.
Sometimes. I don't use it all the time, but sometimes, yeah.
Annabelle doll. Somebody says Annabelle doll.
No.
I like that he also said once we tune into you,
yeah,
we are connected, and we really are. Like,
oh yeah.
And that's one of the things I tell people, and they're like, well, they're sitting, I'm getting ready and preparing. They're like, what do I expect? I'm like, you'll notice a difference in me, my breathing, because people usually just close their eyes and listen because I play music. But
yeah,
you notice that I change, like my breathing pattern changes. I calm down. I almost feel like I'm not there. That's how I know I'm into you. So that's
and
a
it's
good.
the same if because this is a big one for me that I teach my students. Michelle knows this, is we don't force Reiki on anyone. We don't give Reiki. If you were skeptical and like, no, I'm not into it, I would not sit here and be like, well, you're gonna get it. Like, no, that is not.
You're gonna get it whether you like it.
That is not okay. So when you, but in actually my medical intuition classes that I've taken through Tina Zion, we try to connect with a couple different people, and sometimes you do challenge yourself to try someone who may not be super open. So I actually was with a partner, and I said, oh, here's some pictures of some of my family members, and one was of my brother. I said, well, try and see if you can make a connection with her. And she looked at it, she went, nope, he just slammed the door in my face. So like energetically he was like, no thank you, nobody's home. Like,
yeah,
if someone does not want it, and you have to absolutely respect that and not force it on anybody. Like, that's a big ethics thing in my book. So
yeah.
So can you dive into and explain the chakras that are involved and what they represent? What is there, 7 of them? I know there's more than that, but there's like 7. There's 7 main ones or something like that.
Yeah, so when
Okay.
we're doing Reiki, we're working on the whole body, but quite often we do concentrate on the chakras because the chakras are those main energy centers going down the midline of the body, and they represent a lot of different organs and glands and um, mental and emotional connections. So chakras are often very focused on a lot of times in Reiki sessions. So most do the main seven. So and they start for my brain, like I want to start from the top and go to the bottom, but it's actually you start from the bottom and go to the top. So
Okay.
our root chakra is or base chakra is at the bottom. That represents the color is red. They also go by the color spectrum, so the rainbow, so Roy G. Biv.
Okay.
um, that's kind of our like connection to the earth, connection to vital life, like it's our fight or flight, whether we feel safe or not. I do a whole like class on just chakras, so I'll
Okay.
make it very brief. So yes, I know I might skip some things. Um, then moving up is the solar plexus, that's orange, that governs all of our basically like our reproduction, right? So that's not only physical reproduction, so our ovaries, our uterus, it's where passion and sexuality is, but it's also like how we create. Like it's not just
Okay.
creating life, but a lot of artists, you know, like creating art or creating a business plan, that all that creation takes place in that sacral chakra. Then moving up from
Okay.
there, about depending on your body frame, near the navel is the solar plexus chakra. That's a seat of intuition. We have two kind of seats of intuition in our chakras, but that's where, you know, the sayings like I had a gut feeling, that's where that comes from. It's also our where we can store a lot of stress,
Right.
and self-esteem and confidence. We do a lot with our stomachs, our solar plexus chakra. So usually when your stomach's feeling, you know, when you're nervous, think about those things that your body physically does when you're nervous. Like you start to have like stomach cramps, or you're like, oh, my stomach's rumbling, I'm so nervous to go in to do this, or something's really upsetting you, like to the point where you're sick to, even though it's emotionally upsetting you, you're sick to your stomach, right?
So
So that's
that would be like anxiety too, correct?
anxiety and stress.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The heart chakra is what bridges the two, the lower chakras and the upper chakras. So, of course, love, self-love, grief gets stored in the lungs in this area too. Heartache. So, that's the heart. Then we have the throat chakra, and it's how do you express yourself? Are you being heard? Are you expressing yourself? Are you expressing your true self?
Right.
Can you communicate? But also, can you hear? Like communication goes both ways. So, are you someone who talks but never listens? So the ears are kind of involved with the throat chakra. And I
Hold
know
on
I
a second.
talk.
We were talking at the end of the show last week, explaining how you were be on this show, and all of a sudden, like I just couldn't talk. I was like, and I was like, oh, my throat chakra must be messed up.
Yeah, when I think it was my first semester teaching, I felt really frustrated and I felt like I really wasn't being heard. And the next day I woke up with laryngitis and I had it for a week.
Oh shit.
And I
Okay.
knew that it was not like a cold, like I knew it was. And whenever I am overly stressed, like it's my solar plexus that's always like, I always know, like you did too much. Now your solar plexus is all messed up. So then the third eye is number 6. So it's the indigo color. Often it's kind of like a really dark purple too, seen as a dark purple. Again, that's the main area of our intuition. Again, that third eye, right?
Right.
And kind of the connection to be able to listen to ourselves and believe in ourselves, and also maybe listen to our guides or our angels or depending on what your beliefs are. And then the crown chakra is a little bit above the top of the head, and that is usually the violet, so the really light purple, or often white or gold or silver. And that's
Okay.
just our connection to the universe, sometimes past life, Akashic record kind of stuff there. What's our connection to source? So whether it's God or goddess, or whatever that term you use for your source,
Right.
that's that connection there. And that is where we bring our Reiki flowing through the crown chakra.
Do you think one is more important than the other?
Chakras? No.
Yeah. No. So they all have their individual purpose. They all have to be in line for you to be functionally proper, or however you want to say it.
Functioning at 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Does that happen all the time? No. Are
So,
we human? Yes.
Everybody has the third eye. Because people don't want to be like, I don't see that shit. I don't do this. I don't do that. I'm like, everybody has a third eye. You just don't want to open it.
Blocking it. Yeah. So, so those are the 7 main ones. There's also some advanced chakras. Soul star is above that. Earth star is below your feet. There's some other, usually the advanced chakras are in between each of the main 7. I delve into that with my master students, those extra chakras, because I've really noticed the last, especially the last 10 years, but really amped up the last 5, that I've been paying a lot of attention to those advanced chakras for clients and myself. We also have
many
chakras.
total are there?
13 in the advanced that I follow, that I check. But honestly, countless, because we have them in our palms, in the base of our feet, we have them in our ears, we have them at every joint in our body. Those are minor chakras.
Okay.
So really just countless, but the ones that we really pay attention to, and I think that have been written about and maybe studied, for lack of a better term, the most, are the 7 to 13.
Randall asks, how do you remove blocks, and can just anyone do this? Asking for the listeners. Personally, I think the teacher is testing the student, but
I think too. Dang, Randall. Well, you could take my class to find that out. No, I'm just.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
So can anyone just do it? Okay, so here's the thing. With Reiki specifically, you do need to have an attunement by a Reiki master. Attunements are something that are special and sacred, that are passed from master to student through a lineage. Okay. So that is, having the attunement, it is what gives you the ability to channel the Reiki energy through your body into a client. Now, it is my personal belief that obviously we have access to universal energy, we have access to earth energy. We are all, I personally believe, all innate healers. It's just what we do with it, or whether we turn it on or not. So we all have access to this energy. So as far as removing blocks, yes, to know what you're doing, you should take some classes and have some attunements done, or take some of Randall's classes in shamanism. And but removing blocks, I know what he wants me to say. When we remove, and this is in most energy modalities, at least the ones I'm trained in, when we remove something from a body, negative or a block, we always put back a positive.
Okay, quick question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a block and an attachment?
A block is just an in through your body. So remember, where that machine and the electricity is just flowing through, it just means that, like, negative emotions we've held on to, maybe some negative energy we've run into, physical pain, that can all cause blockages or dis-ease or discomfort in the body. So it's the block of the chi is not flowing straight through and all around unhindered. Okay. An attachment, which is again, who I refer out for this, but that is usually when there's somebody hangs on to you, a pass, someone who's passed but not crossed latches onto you.
That part's more my genre, I guess.
Oh, I mean, I totally believe in. I do it. I've taken Randall's class like 3 or 4 times to do it. It's just not my favorite thing to do.
So Crystal has a really good question. So she says, so if a Reiki master has a different religious beliefs than the client, how does that work? Question mark. Can the Reiki healer connect with the client's religious being?
Yes. So to make my client feel most comfortable, I use the verbiage that they're most comfortable with. So if I have a client who is more comfortable with the term God, then that is the word that I use.
Okay.
My personal belief is that the source energy, no matter what its name, it's all the same. I always tell my students, spoiler alert, it's all the same thing. So, even if we quote unquote have different beliefs, maybe I call it by a different name, I still know it's coming from the exact same source because we're all one, and just like and source is all one. We just had to, over time, our ego had to separate it to make it more relatable to us, so that it could be more palatable to us. But that's just my personal belief. Don't send emails.
What is the difference between an overactive and underactive chakra? Is there a difference? I mean, can you have an overactive one or?
Yes. So, so a great example of this for overactive is the throat chakra. So someone who has an underactive chakra is someone who tends to be like really quiet or really meek or like has sore throats all the time, or they're the ones who don't speak up or they have a lot of trouble speaking up. And generally somebody who would have a really overactive throat chakra is when they would really talk really loud to be heard, or they will repeat the same thing over and over and over. It usually boils down to them not feeling heard. Or they talk and talk and talk like, oh, well, this is all about me, but they never ask anything about you. Like that tends to be more an overactive. I'm not saying you, Michelle.
No. I'm saying like, yes, that's me. No, that's not me. Or no, you don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Andrea, I seen your questions, and we'll talk about that at the end of the show about, if there's possible appointments or how she can see you and stuff like that. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. And we'll talk about,
I can't see what Randall's emojis are. Could somebody
It's
tell me?
clapping.
He's clapping
okay.
his hand.
All right. Okay.
So
I was like, they look like bags of gold from where I'm sitting. I can't figure out what that means.
So a quick story about Randall. I had kind of a nasty attachment for myself, and I actually had a psychic attack.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to get with Randall, like, look, I'll come see you. Would you help me out? Blah, blah, blah. And we ended up talking on the phone. He was like, Nick, you can do it yourself. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. I've had my house cleared 3 or 4 times by other people. And he's like, you can do it. And so he just like, he walked me through it, and I did it myself, and I was shocked. I was like, all right. I mean, it was an amazing experience because I actually felt the moment, like the separation.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it was.
Yeah, I mean, we all have that innate ability, but also, would you have done that without contacting somebody who was really versed in it and walked you through it? So, like you can always, we are all capable of healing ourselves at any and all time.
I refer to the professionals.
But that's why, there's people out there that can help you and walk you through. And yeah, I give my clients homework a lot of times, like, well, it's not really me doing it, but it's, like the messages I'm getting from my spirit guides and stuff like, hey, this would be a really great practice. I think you should do this to continue to feel better, or, something like that. So, but no, I believe that we are all innate healers. We're just born that way. And it's just what you do with it, or whether you open up to it or you block your gifts all your life. And I was one that blocked it. And Randall can tell you, he's the first one that I'm like, oh, I can't do it this way. And he'll go, yet. And I'm like, oh, damn it. Oh. dang it, like, okay, I'll be ready for that because it's coming. So so I blocked it for a long time. And some people will block it their whole lives, but yeah, that's why there are other people out there that can help at least guide you through it. I'm here to help my clients in any way that I can. So if that's them talking it through or them taking a level 1 class so they can do self Reiki,
Right.
that's what I'm here for.
When did you have your aha moment to like, okay, this is what I need to do? Or when did you figure out that this was going to be your path to become a healer, to do all these certifications and everything else?
Yeah. So I was in massage school and was taking a class that, like I said, I now teach it. It's called Holistic Approach to Wellness. And I loved my teacher. And like I said, she just said, hey, I took this class over the weekend. And I think me and maybe one other student even heard her or paid attention to it. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're talking about, but I've gotta know about it. And from that first class, I think it was just that first class, like it just made sense. Like I've always been different. I've always known I've been different. I always knew there was a different purpose for me. I just didn't know how that was, or what that was to be. And so it was probably that first class. And then, I took it at the Elderberry Tree House Shop.
Okay. Yep.
And so meeting a lot of like-minded people helped me feel not so alone. Or different, now, my kids and I joke, like, about the muggles, like, like I was, not surrounded by all muggles all the time. So it was like people actually knew what I was talking about and I wasn't the psychedelic sheep anymore. So that was probably what started it. I think the big catalyst was just having my children, having my kids, knowing that I wanted to learn and do everything I could to make their life well and well-rounded, and heal them as best I could in every area that I could, and be a better basically just to become a better person, for my kids.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing at Crystal's question. She says, do you ever just walk by people and feel like, wow, your chakras are fucked up and you need aligned? Oh, well.
So as an introvert, as an introvert and an empath, yeah, I mean, it happened. Do I like, I hope not. Although I don't have a poker face, so I could do it and not realize I do it to people. I don't know. Being like teaching on Zoom and like being able to see myself, I can control my reactions way better than if I was standing in front of a class. So that has helped a little bit. But I mean, and I've told my students, even via Zoom, like I know when you come in in a bad mood. I can feel that through just because we're not in the same room, I can feel like we are gathering in a community in a sacred space that I've set up, and I can tell if you're pissed off. Like, so I have this little sign that I put that says, you are responsible for the energy you bring into this room. And I put it on my door physically at the class, so that everybody I tell them, you can have a bad day and you're allowed to be in a bad mood. But like when you step into this space, you got to check it at the door, because all of us can feel it. All of us are sensitive to it.
Leanne, what do you think about, when I say grapefruit to you?
The first time I met Michelle, I didn't know her at all. She came to my essential oils class, and I was already leery of any new people, because when I'm put, just being the introvert that I am, when I'm put into a group situation, I retreat to read the room.
Right. Makes sense.
And it's not being judgmental but because of what I can feel and what I know within 5 minutes if we're going to be friends or we're not going to be friends. And that's not saying like I'm never going to speak to you. It's just saying like we're not energetically compatible.
Because that's a nice way to put it.
Yes. So like I can be cordial, but like we're not gonna go hang out afterwards. Now before the 5-minute mark with Michelle, she walked in after having a very stressful day. Or it seemed that to be that.
Okay.
And I said, well, today we are learning about grapefruit. She said, I hate grapefruit. And I was just like, oh, for the love of Pete, like, who is this woman walking in disrupting my class?
That would be my sister, and I would expect that.
But then we passed the grapefruit around, and I presented the class because when I used to teach about essential oils, I would talk about the holistic. So we would go over physical ways to use them, mental, emotional, spiritual, and even magical ways to use them. And I think once the information was presented, it obviously caught her interest based on her interest. And when she smelled the oil, she did say, well, this is different than what I thought, like,
Right.
you know, it was going to be. And then, you know, 5 minutes were up and I was like, we're cool. It's fine.
So are you currently teaching? Do you have any openings in any of your classes? Where can they go to figure that out?
So yes, I right now just scheduled a Reiki series. So Reiki classes are broken down into 3 levels typically.
Okay.
So I teach them in 3 levels right now. I'm working on maybe splitting the last one to maybe like a 2-day. But just because there's a lot of information to get through. But for
Right.
now I have it set up starting in April. Right now, I'm going with what the International Reiki Organization is doing as well, which is moving all classes to an online platform. So
Okay.
I am teaching via Zoom right now. That probably will change, you know, fall, winter, you know. Yeah, so if you're interested, I would prefer just how I do everything is referral. I usually even massage, I'm referral basis.
Okay.
So if you're interested, I would email is the preference that I would like to be contacted, and just tell me that you were from here so I know where you came from, and you know, and that you're interested, and I can send you an email with all the information.
Okay. Yeah, we can. I mean, Michelle can put something up. So absolutely.
It's the LMW email, the Gmail account, Michelle.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Well, we don't post anything without anybody's permission. So
Right.
you know, I mean, even when Randall was on here, and Randall's like, "Yeah, just text me and this or that," and I message him like, "Dude, are you sure you want me to put this on here?"
Yeah, I'm a little more private. So email is the best way. And then once I know that, you know, it's just to make sure that someone's interested, you know, and then I get your name and it's just for organization purposes, really. Then, you know, I'll probably send you another email back with my phone number, and we can connect that way if need be, or I can set up a private Zoom, you know, for more of face-to-face type thing. And then the same thing with sessions.
Healing sessions.
I am doing that, and in my healing sessions, it's you can request just Reiki. That's fine. Often, I will be, you know, called to use some of the combo of what I do, but I always check and make sure that's okay before I would do it. But yeah.
So let me comment. Yes, the email. We'll post the link for the email after the show. Contact Leanne. Make sure you mention Old World Paranormal Society, the show. Then she will contact you back via email. And then if you're interested in classes or a healing session of any sorts, do it through the email. So, correct?
Yeah. Just first, like I said, just so I have everything first in writing, like on, you know, where I can keep it nice and organized. And then after we talk, I'm not opposed to giving my phone number, but on a public platform I would prefer not to. Michelle told me like 2 minutes before I came on this is going to be on YouTube, and I was like, okay.
I waited to tell her because she gets nervous.
So, do I teach other things? Yes. So I teach Reiki. I also teach IET. And there's a couple extra classes that go along with the IET. I will do, I used to teach essential oil classes like safety. And like I said, that kind of just like how to use them. I'm big on safety. I will get up on my soapbox about that with essential oils and aromatherapy. I've done chakra classes where we just dive really deep into each chakra. And do that. And then I'm working on, I've had really positive feedback from the class I teach at the local college, Holistic Approach to Wellness. So I actually found a book that is similar to our text. And I think I'm going to start offering a type of class like that to the public because I've had enough people be really interested in it because we dive into just, you know, health and wellness and energy work and relaxation and meditation and yoga. And it's just kind of a big combo class. And I found a really good book that would be more available to people. So
Awesome.
I'll teach anything you want that I know about. I know like a little bit about a lot of things because I love learning. Oh, I'm also I'm in my second level of the 3, but I will also be a certified flower essence practitioner at the end of this year. So I'm really excited to talk about that.
I have no idea what you mean.
That's okay. Just another vibration.
I'm just gonna stick with the Rieki, just the one. I know you're certified in like 50 other, but I'm just gonna stick with the Rieki. So
that's fine.
I would love to do IET, but
yeah, right now IET. So the great thing about IET is that there is the Center of Wellbeing kind of is over it. So we follow the same teaching platforms. They even have a list of like, we charge the same amount just so that it's fair across the board. So it's actually really nice because that's different with Reiki. So with IET, we follow the guidelines based that the Center of Wellbeing puts up for us, which is really nice. But right now they're saying that we have to do them in person. And I just, one, haven't had enough interest, and 2, to get a class together, and 2, I just haven't done any in-person classes yet because the place that I used to teach classes is no more, unfortunately. So, but those, when I can open it up again and we can, and I have enough interest, I love teaching IET as well. They work so well together. Again, I think all energy modalities really come from the same place, and it's just who put whose name on it, or who developed this technique versus this technique. So that's why I take so many classes. I like to see the similarities.
I think too, to go back and answer the other person asked a question about how do you know what you're supposed to be doing. Like for me,
I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
No, you answered it. It was a while back ago.
Okay.
But for me, I was thinking IET was going to be right next. Well, of course, when the pandemic hit, but I am really called more for shamanic work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, it's very, I don't know if it's the Native American connection that I have. I mean, one of my spirit guides is Native American, so I don't know if it's that or the old world connection, dealing with people who have not crossed over, or it's just what I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm definitely needing that. What shamanic practitioners? Angie, is that what you mean?
Randall?
Yeah. Randall, you want to chime in there, and tell her what shamanic
to take that one? Yeah.
I'm just a budding person. I want to do it all too on the same.
What does IET stand for?
So IET is Integrated Energy Therapy.
Okay.
And it is an energy modality. It was developed by Stephen Thayer, where we use acupressure-like points on the body to release negative emotions or blockages out of the electromagnetic field. But they also use a lot of angels. So if you believe in angels, the angels can come in and help with that. The kind of tagline for it is, it gets the issues out of your tissues. because like Reiki, I was going to mention this. A great book to look into is Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, because her concept in that book, and also what IET's concept is that the physical manifestations that you have, so your illness or your symptoms or your dis-ease or discomfort, usually has been hanging around in your aura a lot longer in the other layers of your aura. So it's generally there's an emotional connection, a mental connection, a spiritual connection, even a past life connection, something that has been in your body for a while, an issue that you need to deal with before it ever shows up physically in the physical body as a manifestation. Now that's their concept. Take it or leave it. But
Randall answered it.
okay, good. I saw Witch Doctor and I was like, Louise Hay's book is really great because it talks about that you can pick like a different symptom or discomfort or illness, and then she has in there what the mental or emotional cause could be. And as massage therapists, we know that we have muscle memory, right? So like trauma and that and emotions can be stored in our body, in our cells. And so that's a great book if you're kind of like not quite sure if you believe it or not. That's just like a great beginner book to look into of what may be causing some of your physical manifestations.
Michelle, do you know what book she's talking about?
The Penelope Cruz?
Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. I probably have it.
You talked about it. I haven't read it.
Okay.
Well, if you get some information, we'll post that on the page too, if people are interested in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was talk that the medical field, especially the cancer institutes and stuff like that, are starting to recognize this form of healing. Have you done anything in that aspect with the medical field, or is it just separate? Do you feel like they should go in that direction too and offer that?
I have not personally worked in that area, but I do know that, like, especially here in Fort Wayne, our local hospice and our local cancer services are very, very open and supportive to Reiki healing and practitioners. Very open. I took a oncology intensive through Northeast Cancer Services here in town a few years back, and they were very open to like, oh well, you can do massage and Reiki. So they're very open to it, and that's because that healing touch kind of paved the way for it. That now Reiki is being really accepted, and I know hospice is really open to it as well. And yeah, I think it's very needed. I think the great thing about Reiki, so it's a complementary alternative therapy, or you'll see CAT, right? It used to be CAM, it used to be complementary alternative medicine, but now they have to take medicine away. It's therapy now. And the great thing about that is that it goes with any Western or even other Eastern practice or medicine or treatment, because Reiki does no harm. It goes where it needs to go, and we are not in charge of the healing sources. So there's no contraindications to Reiki, and there's no issues with it affecting it. In fact, for those who like Dr. Oz actually is a big proponent of Reiki. His wife is a Reiki master, and he will when he used to do surgeries, he would have some of his staff trained in Reiki, and they would perform Reiki on the clients while the surgery was being performed.
He's a cardiologist, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Reiki is now kind of becoming way more accepted in mainstream. And also it is wonderful in those end stage life situations, because it can help with transitioning. So I actually have a couple of different friends who are in kind of, so it's like end of life doula or death doula. We're finding that, being a birth doula was a big thing a few years ago, and a lot of people are realizing how much help they need giving birth. And now we're starting to see this influx, I think, because of the age of the population, end of life doulas or death doulas, the need for it. And Reiki is something that you can use with that end stage, and it really helps with transitioning. So it's really needed right now. Yeah.
Do you recommend it on children?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
People
get
of
a little
all
silly.
ages. Yeah, people of all ages. Like I said, I would go and have my children worked on in utero. So pregnancy, babies, children, animals love Reiki, plants love Reiki. You can Reiki anything. My Reiki master used to Reiki her car when it wouldn't start. Like she had an older car and she would Reiki it and it would start. I mean, everything has energy. We have scientific proof that everything has a vibration, has an energy vibration. We've
We
got the
used to.
scientific tools.
We sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. It just something popped in my head when we went on investigations one time, and it stuck after this. Michelle's like, I did Reiki in the shower before an
Well,
investigation.
that's why I prepare to go on when we go on our investigations. I prepare for that in the shower because I love water. Water calms me, water centers me. I can charge the water, it then drips through my whole body. I take it from source, it comes through and it goes down and out the drain. So it's super easy to do, and it's just where I found that.
Well,
The
the
joke was
way she
they thought
said
I
it,
said,
it just became a joke, and then for the next year and a half, it was nothing about Reiki in a shower. So.
yeah, because they didn't
I
think I said
recommend people
Reiki.
do Reiki in the shower. I tell everybody Reiki your shower head. So then when the water comes out, or Reiki your bath, because we're big on salt baths too in this
Yeah.
field. As far as children, I do want to say something about children and animals though. Children and animals don't need, like where an adult would need, generally a session is an hour. Children and animals, they're such pure soul, they don't have all the baggage that we have, right? They're very pure souls and they don't need much Reiki. So most kids won't sit still very long for it. Most animals will let you know when they're done. They get antsy or, walk away. So it's really very short bursts that they can accept.
Quick question. I don't know. Do you think if somebody that was obviously a shaman or somebody that's a medium or a psychic medium, somebody like that, would they be a little bit more helpful if they went and took the Reiki classes and became a Reiki master because they can dive into a little more deeper, or does that really even matter?
I think that we all are born with our specialties and our skills and our gifts. And that's why I try to, promote no competition amongst practitioners, because I'm completely, happy to refer to somebody who does something different. That might be my massage background too, talking. Like if I don't know that skill, I'm going to refer you to somebody who does. I don't know that it's necessarily that person would be better at it. It's then someone, because Reiki is for everyone to learn. Like I don't ever want people to say like, oh, I don't have any of those gifts, I can't do Reiki. No, absolutely you can. And those are the kind of people I want to bring Reiki to, because everyone can do it. Even if you go into Reiki to only work on yourself and your immediate family or yourself and your pets, that's amazing. We need more people working on themselves and raising their vibration and working on their families. Then we need 1,000 practitioners trying to make money off of it. So that's the population I'm trying to get to. You don't have to take a Reiki class to ever go see anyone else. And I have many students who say, I'm doing this for myself. And I want those students. So I don't ever want to scare somebody off and say, you have to be a psychic or you have to be a medium. I'm not. I was just some girl in massage school who was like, this sounds cool, let's do it. Yeah, now I've jumped down the rabbit hole and obviously, am finding a lot of fun things to do, but I hope that it still comes across that I'm very humble and I know it's not me. And I just love learning and helping people. So if you only ever work on yourself, that's amazing. And that's what level 1 is for. So level 1 is you learn how to work on yourself, you learn how to work on others. You can confidently after level 1 go work on somebody. However, in level 1, we really want you to be working on yourself. It's that filling your cup until you're full and overflowing before you ever try to work on somebody else. So it's, those basic principles.
Leanne, your mom and dad thinks you're awesome.
Oh, thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. Oh, she must have figured out how to get it to work, so that's good.
Crystal says, "I just wanted to let you all.
I'm trying to read it. Sorry.
Okay, my body has bed tingling in different areas, different portions of the conversation. I've never had Rieki, but I found this awesome." Okay.
Well, I'm not sending it to you, Crystal, just because I don't know you and I didn't ask permission. But I think that is telling, and that you are open to it, and that you're already aware of your body, which is really great, especially if because then you can tell the difference when you do have a treatment, and even if you don't, and you're like, I didn't feel anything. I've had those clients before, and that's okay because I know I provided them what they needed, and that's kind of where, like I said, like I'm not in charge of the healing, and I know Michelle knows this. We had a very good friend in our community who was diagnosed with cancer very suddenly, and it just so happened they would come into my to where I was teaching every single time I had a class. So when he was there, I'd like, you want to get on the table and let my students practice on you? And he was like, heck yeah. So all my students got to know him, I got to work on him. So of course, ego wanted him to be cured of cancer. I wanted him to live a full life, and the cancer took him quickly, and it was, awful for all of us. But I had to then tell my students. And so I had to check myself first, and, I didn't do enough. I didn't, so I had to check myself first, and then told my students, remember what we did. The feedback we got directly from him when you would work on him was the nausea went away. The headache went away. I could go home and sleep. My anxiety lowered. My fear lowered. Like, this was feedback that he actually gave us. And I said, we did exactly what we needed to do, even though we didn't like the outcome. So that's probably the hardest thing about being a healer, just a human healer, is that we do care about the outcomes because we care about people. I don't think anybody goes into this for like the glory. Well, I won't say that. I've actually met people who've gone into this for like the glory, but most only go into it for like the true, like, I just want to help people. And it's hard to want to help people, and then if they don't, overcome it, it's hard to kind of swallow that. But that's just because, again, we're human and we have that ego. And I'm not talking ego with a capital E. I'm talking that little e, the ego with the little e. That's what makes us human. Like that's what we're made.
I think people have the misconception when you hear healing, like you're going to heal me and I'll be better. I don't think that's necessarily the case. You can't avoid death.
Right.
Everybody's going to die at some point, but you can make the process better.
Yeah. And that's what I had to tell my students. That's what we did. And it sucks, and we're all sad, and we miss him every day. But we do know that as healers, we got to put our healer hat on. We did exactly what we needed to do because we were not in charge.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons for me was obviously I've always wanted to help people since I was a little girl, but
except your brother.
Except for my brother. Here we go. But anyways,
he's your little brother, right? Yeah, I got a little brother too, so
very much younger brother.
Yeah, very much younger. Anyways, I realized through the first Rieki phase 1 that I had to heal myself before I could ever heal anybody else. So that's super important for people to remember. That's another reason why you say at least people should take phase 1 is so you can learn how to heal yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's I mean, just saying that, what you said, Michelle, people need to heal themselves before they can heal
Mhm.
others. I think
Mhm.
people need to realize that's just in general across the board.
Mhm.
Yep.
You need to heal yourself. You need to love yourself before you can even do anything, be successful in a career, have a successful love life or marriage or anything like that. You got to be one with yourself before
Yep.
you can put out to others.
Mhm.
So,
A person should never complete you. You should complete yourself.
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Does anybody else? I mean, time's winding down here. So if you got any more questions that you want answered tonight, make sure you get it
And
up on the comments.
while we wait for questions, I'll just clarify one thing because this was like a really big like aha. So I cannot take credit for this. This was
Okay.
from my IET instructor, Lee Baker, but it made so much more sense because again, I think there's a misconception with certain words we use. So when we talk about Reiki, how it works, we channel down universal energy through our crown chakra, down through our heart chakra, out our arms and our hands into another person's aura. Well, I was in a class where somebody was really uncomfortable with the word channel. Okay, so
Oh, okay.
my instructor explained it like this, and I love this explanation. So there's channel with a big C, a capital C, and there's channel with a little c. So channel with the big C is those mediums, right? Like mediums who can actually channel what other people are saying, right? Those spirits
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff. And sometimes they even almost emulate them, or they kind of talk through them in a way. So that's channeling with a big C. And that's not what I don't have that skill.
Right.
And don't say it, Randall. Um,
Right. We all
but
have it.
channeling with the little c is what we do in Reiki and what we do in energy work, which is simply just bringing down, for lack of a better term, and allowing that energy to come through us and out our hands into another person. So I just want to make sure that people are comfortable with that word channel. It's just more of intentionally allowing the energy to flow through us as the conduit, as the vessel. Like somebody else said earlier, vessel. That's a great word. So I just wanted to clarify that in case anybody was curious of the difference. You don't have to be a medium to be able to channel Reiki.
You know, you do that to me. You tell me yet all the time.
I know. Look who I got it from.
I know, right? He tells me too. I get it from both of you. Leanne, did you get through all of your notes and what you wanted to say?
I mean, I could go on forever, of course. Oh, I do want to. So there are many types of Reiki out there. The type that I teach is most closely Usui style. Okay, so Master Usui is kind of considered the founder of Reiki in Japan, who brought it to us. There's a whole story. I'm not going into it, but he's the one who we consider kind of like the grandfather of Reiki or the founder of Reiki.
Okay.
And then he had two students that were kind of integral, and the third one being actually, let me look at her name, sorry. Because Takata. So this was a woman in the 60s or 70s, 1960s or 1970s, that actually was from his lineage, and she was in Hawaii. She brought Reiki to Hawaii and then spread it to the mainland and all of North America. So I love that there's a woman involved, like girl power. But Usui started it in 1864, and this is most closely to his, it's considered Usui style. Now, do I teach exactly the way Usui did in 1864? I cannot promise you that that is what I do, because I think of it as a telephone. Back then, they used to only do it from word of mouth. You would practice the symbols and they would get burned, like they weren't allowed to be in print, so it was passed down. And think about it, every time it's passed down to another person, it's also your perception and what you took from it and how you understood it. So, but the type that I do teach is considered Usui style. But I was telling Michelle this the other day. I was shocked at how many, once I started looking into it, all the different types of Reiki that there were. Kundalini, Holy Fire, Karuna, Literian. I just told her I saw somebody on Facebook saying, like, send me $20 and I'll give you a fairy Reiki attunement, and I was like, it's almost like worth the $20 to see what
Just
they're doing.
figure it out.
Like,
See
I'm
what it's about.
curious. Rainbow, so there's like many types of Reiki. So I can't say one is better than the other. I'm just so you know, the style that I stick with is closest to Usui style. There's no religious context, although there are principles in Reiki that they say, like, after you take your class, you should start to live the Reiki way. So there's just basic principles, which actually sound very similar to, other religious forms, but they're just for today, do not anger. Just for today, do not worry. Honor your parents, teachers, and elders. Earn your living honestly and show gratitude for every living thing. So again, it's not religion, but there's just these basic principles that they think that once you're on that healing path, that you should try to incorporate into your life.
So if you incorporate after your sessions, if you incorporate those, it would help you stay in line and in tune.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is also for more for students of Reiki.
Okay.
But I mean, yes, absolutely. Anybody who's even having a session, if you think, I mean, they're pretty basic, principles, but all things that we often forget to do in our busy world, right? So I think just being mindful in anything we do is very healing, and helps us stay aligned and balanced holistically anyways. So yeah, absolutely. It could go either way.
Awesome. You're awful quiet, Michelle.
Because
I think I got through all my notes.
Is she often quiet in your classes?
I'm about
it's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a class. I think like me, we read the room. And like there's a time to be chatty, and then there's a time to like sit back and listen, and there's a time to I know that if I'm just not feeling a room too, like I'm just stone-faced sitting in the corner with my shields up, like trying to count down the hours until I can leave. So
how do you feel about the way she incorporates Reiki healing into what we do here at Old World Paranormal Society?
I love it. I think it's amazing. I had her as a guest speaker for our group. So any of my Reiki students, I do a monthly healer group, I call it. And I also have a Facebook group for my students. And it's just a way to keep connected. But often I'll try to have like a guest speaker on, or pose a new information. Or like this last month, we just did some self-care together, and then did some like muwashi and sent healing out to the world and that kind of thing. So I was like, you're coming on and being a guest speaker for my group, because I want people to know that they can do, that they can do this or that. And I also am big on promoting what all my students are doing. So it was like, tell them how to get a hold of you, have, so that you guys, they have access to you guys too. So I'm just trying to make a really like harmonious community, because there's enough out there for everybody. Like there really is. And to be able to work together is so not like, I learned things from her. She's like, are you taking notes? Like, I was like, oh, I didn't. And I'm like, yes, because I'm forever going to be the student. I'm really uncomfortable with the word teacher, which actually master, the word master in Japanese means teacher. So when you take Reiki master class, it actually just means you've kind of leveled up to that teaching. We never will master anything. And Reiki acknowledges that.
I told her, I said, I don't know if I'm ever going to teach it. She goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yes, you will. No, I think it's amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to see. I actually, with my flower essence thing, which I know you don't understand, but I'll tell you about it some other time. I'm actually making a formula for her to take. I'm working on it right now with her, so that it can smokeless cleanse before you guys even go home.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, hell yeah, That's awesome. I like
He
that.
understands.
I get it now. See, the light bulb went off. You just had to speak my language. So
Okay, yeah. So instead of, I know a lot of places you can't do smoke, sage and Palo Santo, which are amazing things. I also tell this to my students. We do have to start looking into being more aware of using white sage and Palo Santo and using the word saging and smudging. There's some cultural appropriation issues coming up with that. And also the unsustainably harvesting that's going on. White sage is on um, the endangered list. So herbal smoke cleansing has actually been going on forever in all areas of the world. There's just different names for it. So herbal smoke cleansing is kind of the most PC way, to call it. In the Celtic, like European area, it's called saining. Saining. But it's the same concept. And I just tell my students, like, just remember, like, to be really respectful about using sage and Palo Santo. Where are you getting it? Is it from is it harvested sustainably? That kind of thing. And we also, I think there's I don't like the word new age because it's not new practices, but I think a lot of people that are getting into spirituality, sage and smudging is the kind of like cure all for everything. So like somebody has a bad date or, or didn't like who they swiped right on, or I don't know that kind of, I don't know. I have friends, they tell me this kind of stuff. I know nothing about it. I dated back when you actually went on a date with a person. So, but it's like, oh, well, you had a bad date, go sage yourself, go smudge yourself. And it's being used without the respect and without the ritual behind it, and again the respect of where it came from the indigenous cultures that it came from. So there's other herbs that we can use that are more like, you got to think about it, like all the times that it's been used over the centuries, you used what grew, right? Well, white sage does not grow in Indiana. White sage did not grow in Europe or Ireland, or Scotland. But what does? So, like, what do we grow here easily that is also has those cleansing and purifying properties? So, rosemary is a really, really great one. Cedar, thyme, like, so just looking into being more adaptable, and again, just kind of going at it with like the respect of where it came from, and a little bit goes a long way. Like, we don't have to use these huge sage bundles because you had a bad date or something. Like,
Well, I know on
you don't
our
need
end,
to smoke out.
right.
I know on our end, when we get clients, we do a lot of residential investigations, and which is great because that's what we really want to do.
Right.
But they, our clients are like, well, we sage all the time and this or that. I'm like, well, that's great and all, but if you actually have entities or intelligent beings in your house, that's just like putting a band-aid. I said, you need to figure out who's in there. Then you got to come up with a game plan of what do they need and how do you get them to exit the premises. I said, sage is that's like after all that. You need to figure that out. That's like a protection measure after that. So,
And energy is intention.
You don't follow that.
Do what?
You don't follow that.
I don't follow what?
You don't do the after you have a clearing sage every 30 days or.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Well,
See,
and,
so
I mean, again, there are other methods to do that.
I
You
am
can do some of that
protecting the
crystal.
sage and not burning it all the time, Michelle.
Uh-huh.
Just saying.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I know that that's kind of like the first go-to. Now, I'm not saying like you guys shouldn't be using it. I'm not saying that at all. Like, I know the respect that you guys have for it, but just, yeah, like you mentioned, like, oh, these people are doing it all the time. Well, but you're not getting down to the issue. And is your intention, where's your intention? Like, you have to use these herbs with the intention. And if you're just doing it because it's like no different than dusting, I mean, if you put intention in everything, it can be way more magical and way more purposeful. So
Yeah, I'm game for new techniques in that
Mhm.
aspect. I mean, there's not a whole lot of paranormal teams that offer to do clearings and blessings and stuff
No,
like
that's
that.
amazing. That
So
is amazing.
we
I think
take
that's
that
great.
we take that in stride, and we're very passionate about it. And of course, I just sit in the back seat and watch. So I
He
let
does
them do
not. He
I
no.
I'm friends with Michelle. I know better than that.
This last one you didn't. You actually used your gift on this last one.
Yeah, but that one was a little different.
Yeah, well, you still
Different
used it.
situation.
We were like the dynamic duo. It was great.
Aw. Yeah, no, I think it's wonderful what you guys are doing. I'm glad that it sets you apart. I'm glad you go into it with that. Like, we're not just doing this for the fun of it. Let's actually help. So I think it's
Right.
amazing. So I tell people about you guys all the time. So
Well, I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you being on the show, and I've learned a
thank you
lot
so
tonight.
much. I'm
So
so thankful and humbled to be asked to be on here. I was super, super nervous. I told you once I got going though. I, I'm with kids all day. It's like adults. I get to
yeah,
talk.
you get to talk to adults. All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Randall.
Anytime, Leanne, you ever want to be on the show, if you have like new techniques, new anything, let us know. You can come on the show anytime you want and talk away. So
Thank you.
I greatly appreciate it, and we will get the email up on our Facebook page. Again, please email, and when you mention your name, if you want either looking for classes or if you're looking for healing in any aspect, please mention Old World Paranormal Society so she knows that you came from the show. If not, you might just get left in the spam folder. So.
Right. Yeah. Sorry,
So,
it happened.
we will get that up on the Facebook. And again, Leanne, thank you so much. And
You.
everybody have a good week, a safe week. And we will see you next Sunday. We will have another exciting guest. Mr. Jeremy Todd will be on talking about his Positive Side podcast and his new book, The Positive Side, which is this. If I can get it on the screen. There we go. So stay tuned. That one will be at 8 o'clock next week. And have a great week, guys.
Thank you.
Michelle, you got anything?
Nope. Love and light, everybody.
Nope, I'm done. All right, sit tight, guys. See you guys.